Good evening, good morning, good day, whenever, wherever you are, any dimension, any timeline. Oh my gosh, you guys, we're here for our manifestation oracle message. We do this every week. It's always Tuesday night when I'm recording this, but you could be seeing it at any time. But this, my readings are really evergreen. If you see them at any given time and they resonate, then take something with it. Spirit can time travel because time is relative. Time does not exist. Which brings me back to the point that I was just going to say before I had to introduce our video. So the plasmoids, all right, we've been seeing like the orbs and the plasmoids and the UFOs and the aliens and the creatures under the sea and all of it. And I'm just like, wow, like what a time to be alive. I always believed in mermaids, and I might live in a time where it is proven real. I'm just like, who's under there? What's going on? Oh, then the plasmoids, my nephew and I were working together tonight. We were talking about like some videos we'd seen just like about people explaining it, and it could be an open portal. It could be people remote viewing and they are in their like light body. My first instinct, my first thought was like the Merkaba. But yeah, it's like a vehicle for the light body. It's crazy. And so then I was also thinking, I was like, what about time travel? It could be time travel. So I was telling my nephew today, I was like, what if they're time travel? Like, what if they're open portals? Like, what if it's not just extraterrestrials or even like, so I'm starting to think, how we've been getting constantly, like every week we've been getting sacral chakra card in our weekly energy oracle forecast, and so it's associated with the astral realm, with the moon, with the unseen. And I think that we are starting to see maybe some things that are unseen be seen. I saw a couple of videos on like things that were hovering over LA. And these were different videos at different times, but they were videos of these like light masses hovering over LA during the fires. And one video showed this like white light mass hovering over the fire. And one video showed like a dark mass hovering over the fire, but it was very fluid looking. And people are like, is it a UFO? Is it a UFO? And they're like, no, it's a kite. Like, what is that? And I'm like, when I was little, I would see angels, and I could see, non-physical supernatural things and demons and the shadow people and all the things that you hear people talk about. I could see those things. And for what I can remember, when I would see the angels in my yard, they looked like these pillars of light with this light, kind of winging off of the main central like light source, and almost like these light tentacles like swirling and whirling around them. And that's what these videos look like. So I'm just like, all kinds of stuff is just out there right now. And so I had mentioned to my nephew, I'm like, it could be like portals opening. I was like, it could be time travel, like it could be future us time traveling back, or vice versa, but we could be seeing like the lag of that catching up, and like us seeing like portals being opened. So today I was like I just caught this video of a TikTok video of somebody who was like had filmed one of the plasma portals. And he was like, okay, I don't know what I'm seeing, but it appears that I have been like, I'm filming, or I filmed one of those plasmoids, but it looked like an open portal and an airplane came through, and the airplane was from the 1950s. And I am not like super gullible, you guys. Like, I am the person that's like, AI, like that's a scam, like that's clickbait. But like, I think we're all starting to understand that this is one of those things that's like really happening. And we're like, I can't believe it. But then we're like, yeah, we can. It's been happening all along. It's just that like because we're moving into the age of Aquarius, it's just like suddenly one day, everything that has already been around us all along is now being seen. And there's a lot more activity, and it's all like, it's so fascinating. With the extraterrestrial stuff, I'm just like, I don't know if I'm so beyond my threshold of horrors at this point that I'm just like, wow. But I do. It is so fascinating. So fascinating. What do y'all think? Are you guys like fascinated by the appearance of all of this? Or are you just like, well, radical surrender, what are we gonna do? Like, it's all, we gotta accept that it's there. It's cray. Okay, so our first card out, let yourself receive. Allow others to give you loving care, receive without apologies. Now, if I'm not mistaken, we had this card come up last week. And I shit you not, I had more crazy manifestations this week. My aunt is like, she loves designer purses, and that's what she, does. That's her thing. But then when she gets rid of one, she gives them to my mom. And then my mom will carry the same purse for forever. And so she likes some purses, not others. And so often I will like manifest these like very expensive bags. And I don't even, like, it's not my thing. I wouldn't necessarily buy one of these, but I'm always like really appreciative of having one if it's, given to me. But I manifested a duty and burqa this week. Refrigerator practically empty, but I have my purse. And then what else? Oh, let's see, my vitamins that I needed renewed. My sister ordered me a couple of jars, and surprised me with that. And let's see, I feel like there's been a bunch of stuff like all over the map, but it's been a great week. But we had this card last week, and it was just, and my mom had cleaned out her kitchen. She renovated the kitchen, long story, pipe burst, etc. And she is like an amazing antiquer, and she's a maximalist, and her design and her eye is just like unlike anybody else. Well, she cleaned out a lot of her stuff out of her cabinets of curiosities and was like, do you want to go through any of this before I either put it in storage for y'all to have later, or like Goodwill it or thrift it or whatever? And I was like, yes. I ended up bringing like both the tubs home. I mean, there's like all kinds of things, like European, like antique kitchen stuff. I don't know. It's just like the coolest stuff. So I'm excited. But get excited and be open to receiving, and just kind of put this in the back of your mind, like be open to receive. And then also be more sharing, and just take risks that are risks based on, sharing love with other people. Before I manifested the stuff, I went out to lunch with my mom, and, many times that she insists on, getting the check, and I'm just like always having to fight for it, and everybody around her is always having to fight for it. And I just was like not letting her fight me for it this time, and like just insisted, and she was like, oh, I just feel so bad. And I'm like, I wanted you to feel good, not bad. But anyway, then she already had that stuff later. But keep paying it forward and keep putting it into the universe, because it's like, allow yourself to give, allow others to give you loving care, receive without apologies. There's another card that we get often, and it says, allow yourself to give and receive graciously, right? Giving and receiving, and trusting when you give, and when you do something generous and you do an act of sharing. It's like, you sometimes it feels like you're stretching yourself a little bit, and that's good. And that's the more that it feels like you're stretching yourself, and like the more it kind of like puts you out of like your realm of like comfort, or don't financially put yourself in peril. I don't want to tell people to do anything irresponsible, but when we do acts of sharing, it really opens the flow of give and take. And when we receive, we can receive for the sake of sharing and not for the self alone, right? So my mom takes great pleasure in, giving me like that purse. She didn't want it. It was given to her. So, it's just like, receive it. Like, I could have said no, but like it gave her such joy to give it to me. So in a sense, like in an example like that, I'm not trying to get a purse out of her. I'm receiving by the way, right? I'm practicing restriction. I'm not necessarily going over there hoping that I'm going to get this purse. I have no idea. I don't even know to expect it. But when I am given the purse, I'm like, no, you can, like, are you sure you're not going to, use this or wear it? No, I insist. I'm sure. Okay, all right. Thank you. And then be really grateful and, be excited. But there's a difference between receiving graciously and receiving in without restriction, like, just taking and trying to, grab for whatever, whatever's available. So let yourself receive. Allow others to give you loving care. Receive without guilt or apologies. All right, let's see what is next. Love. Well, we're in like a new era, all right? This is more than just a new cycle of energy. We're really in a new age with the age of Aquarius, just full throttle. All of the technological advances. But I told my nephew, I'm like, I think the plasmoids could be also time travel. And then this guy is like, this plane from the 1950s came through. So now I'm just like, okay, well, yeah, Bermuda Triangle, we knew it all along. It's like this open portal where people are just like slipping through these rips in time. But again, these technological advances and just these bizarre happenings. I mean, it's so Aquarian. So we're really getting into this a new age, a new era for mankind. And it just doesn't come without a bit of turbulence and a bit of bumps and contrast and discomfort. And, the contrast and discomfort and all of the things that are, bringing out the darkness right now. We've been talking about how over the last decade and a half or so, we've been seeing all the areas of life and the systems and the world systems and infrastructures and our traditions and belief systems and all of our systems, all the corruption and filth and evil within those systems has been exposed, right? I mean, look at all the movements that have just happened, like boom, 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 back to back to back over the last several years, like environmental movements and Black Lives Matter and Me Too movement exposing like sexual assault and all of that. And just like sexual harassment in the workplace, like that is not a thing anymore. And I was like sexually harassed at every workplace the first half of my life, and now it's like not a thing anymore, and so things have really changed a lot. And so now we're seeing like all of the problems, in the healthcare system and in insurance. And I mean, we all saw that, but it's just really coming to a head, right? The banking system, the housing, all of these things. It's just like all of this corruption, the Jeffrey Epstein stuff, like it's all being pushed to the surface. And it seems like it's gone every category, like finances and government and sexual issues and gender issues and racial issues. But like, I think right now we're also being shown the way that religion and the church has been corrupted and twisted. I mean, I know that people are always putting the spotlight on perversion within the Catholic Church, but they're not looking at the actual fact. I mean, we can see it in our peripheral, but like we're really seeing how the message of Jesus has been systematically hijacked, perverted, and weaponized and used to push an imperialistic agenda since, the probably 2nd century, right? They realized that Jesus was a threat when he was walking the earth and spreading his message and his gospel. He was a threat to the empire. He was a threat to the established order and religious norm of the time. And after the crucifixion and resurrection, in the aftermath of that, the Christian movement started to explode, and there wasn't the organization of it. And so Rome, seeing that they were like gonna be overtaken by this belief anyway, it was like, okay, well, we're gonna then claim this for our own. We're going to appropriate this. We're going to choose which gospels are in the Bible so we can get the narrative straight and everybody's on board, right? And then the other gospels will be hidden off into a library that's going to be burned down. And fortunately, some of the scrolls made it out into Nag Hammadi, Egypt, where they were discovered, and in the Dead Sea, with the Dead Sea Scrolls. But yeah, so it's like the message was already curated, and slowly over time, or maybe not slowly over time, it was swiftly politicized, weaponized, and used to push forward an agenda. And we see this, in throughout the way history has played out all over the world. And there was a genuine truth in this message, and there was genuine probably equal numbers of people within the church who are sincere in trying to evangelize the goodness and not do it in a harmful or oppressive way, but that got hijacked. So I think that all of that is coming to a boiling point right now as well. The way that people have been manipulated, with people knowing that if they use religion and they use religious ways of talking, and they use that jargon, and they use that cantor and that that culture, and they pretend to be on board with it, and they can get people on their side because they know that these people are waiting for these certain signs and certain prophecies to come about, and everyone has access to these. So, people's beliefs can be manipulated and used against them, and used to get them on board with something that they wouldn't have helped out with, right? And so they're being used for their energy and their resources. And so I think that we are starting to see the way that has now gone again so off the deep end. And I think we see that in any belief system that becomes radicalized. And so this is part of the great awakening of mankind, is that we have to see all of our darkness. And we are individually looking at our own personal tendencies towards darkness. If we see tyranny in another, we have the tendency in ourselves. So we have to search ourselves even deeper. There are people out there that comment on my videos, and they're not always great comments. Sometimes they're, triggering. Sometimes they're annoying. Sometimes they're kind of creepy. But I try to do my best to allow people their voice, and not, be too authoritative about what I allow people to say in my comments, as long as it's not harmful or slanderous, and as long as they're not aggravated and starting to get almost on the deep end of maybe psychological issues that might be violent or aggravated, then I leave them alone, or I try to give them a fair comment, or let that be that, right? So I think that we're seeing all of this coming forward so that it's very obvious to us what is just too heavy to carry, what's outdated, what doesn't work anymore, what we don't want in our consciousness anymore, what we're not resonating with anymore. And we are shedding those old, just dense layers of negativity. This is the year of the wood snake, right? So the snake sheds that skin, right? And is renewed. And so we are coming into that renewal. So the worst is behind you and positive new experiences are on the horizon. Now, this might be in the bigger picture. Like, it might take some time for the major worst to be behind us, right? In the midst of it all, we may still have storms ahead and unpleasantness, but maybe on a grand scale of humanity, maybe we've passed a turning point of this is as bad as it could get and there's nowhere to go but up from here, right? Humanity is hitting rock bottom. So there's a new dawn ahead of us, and the worst is now behind us, and positive new experiences are on the horizon. Interesting new experiences are on the horizon, at least, for sure. I mean, come on. Our horizons are full of very interesting things right now. Oh my gosh. Just unbelievable. All right. What do we have here? Playtime. Love that. The dolphins know the importance of playing as joy creates miracles and manifestations. I think Venus is moving into Aries and Jupiter is gone direct. I can't remember what Jupiter went direct into, but the energy is definitely lightening up, right? You know that meme or like the graphic that's like, the horrors persist, but so do I. You know, we're gonna get through it, and we are going to continue to have joy, and we are going to value the treasure of playtime. The dolphins know the importance of playing as joy creates miracles and manifestations. So what do you want to bet that the dolphins and the whales have like a telepathic relationship with whatever that like the civilization under the sea? In the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, by the way, when the aliens are descending on Earth and the shit's about to go down, and I think that there's like a meteor coming or something, or like aliens are taking over and people are like exiting the planet as they can, like the current aliens, and then the dolphins leave and they're like, why have the dolphins left? Suddenly the dolphins have all left, and it's like they know better. They're getting out of town. They're getting out of Dodge. And then, okay, so I heard about a big pod of dolphins all moving together towards Central California, I think. And I'm like, I immediately referenced the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I was like, something's up. So the dolphins know the importance of playing as joy creates miracles and manifestations. So yeah, I mean, we've got to do it all. We've got to look at the truth and the reality of things. We can't be avoidant, but then we also can't put our joy on hold and live in absolute terror and sorrow. And I actually saw this yes card underneath playtime, and I just kept shuffling, but this flipped out and wanted to come out. So your intuition is correct. Take action accordingly. So if you've had like a little hunch about something or a little feeling, maybe you're right. Maybe you should take action accordingly. This is a confirmation for you. So follow your that quiet inner voice right now if it's directing you in any particular direction towards your goals, or maybe sudden things that have come up recently. Just follow your heart, follow that inner guidance. You know, one of my goals for this channel, I know a lot of channels want to be, you know, addictive, and they want you to like tune in and you got to know what's happening. I want you to enjoy the time we spend together, because we can progress in our soul's journey and our unfolding together and our becoming. But I also want you to learn how to use your own intuition and be able to follow that inner voice for yourself. And so a lot of times these readings, I don't go into a lot of I see layers of things and so many layers of what's happening, but I don't often talk about the he said, she said stuff because I don't always want to be telling you your business or planting seeds in your mind about what's going on around you. But rather, when you see those images and those little catchphrases and you hear the examples that I'm giving, and you can kind of apply that, you can listen to your own intuition, and if you're like, you hear something and your spidey senses go up and you're like, oh, that reminds me of this situation, then that's your own intuition helping you apply that information without me planting a seed in your head that somebody's doing something or saying something. You know what I mean? So I don't know how we got onto that tangent. All right, y'all. Well, I'm going to wrap it up. We've got a lot of ground covered tonight in 25 minutes. We have talked about just about everything. So let yourself receive. Allow others to give you loving care. Receive without guilt or apology. We've got a new dawn. The worst is behind us, and positive new experiences are on the horizon. Playtime. The dolphins know the importance of playing, as joy creates miracles and manifestations. And your intuition is correct. Take action accordingly. Yes, 1,000 times yes. Let's do one more. I'm just going to cut the deck. Self-employment. You're a born entrepreneur, and your business is surrounded by magical opportunities. So there you go. This is just more indication that you might have some ideas for your business, or for the work that you do, or for the goals that you're working on, and you might want to follow those hunches. Tomorrow we will be back for our midweek alchemy message, where we kind of dive into how we're approaching this week's soul work. Until then, peace be with you. Much love.